Welcome to today's webinar titled Using the Power of Data to Revolutionize Endpoint Management and Security. I'm Smita More, Marketing Manager at Accelerite and your host for the webinar today. Before we begin today's session, I have few housekeeping announcements to make. This webinar is approximately 40 minutes. Please note that our session is being recorded and we'll make the link available to everyone after the session. We have kept everyone on mute to ensure that any background noise and conversations are kept private. To ask questions, please make use of the question box on your GoToWebinar window. We'll take all the questions at the end of the presentation. Feel free to write your comments, questions, and anything that you want us to see in this question box at any time. So that's all about the housekeeping. To begin with, just a quick note about who we are. Accelerite is a Silicon Valley-based company. It is headquartered in Santa Clara with over 500 employees located in 11 offices globally. Accelerite has been delivering secure business-critical infrastructure software for Fortune 500 telecom operators and SMEs around the globe. Accelerite's product suite includes solutions for cloud cycle management, endpoint security, big data analytics, and Internet of Things. So these are the four main business lines Accelerite caters to. More than 3,000 customers around the world rely on Accelerite products to secure connected enterprises every day. Do visit our website accelerite.com to know more about our products. Let me introduce you all to our speaker today, Charul Sadvelkar. As Associate Vice President, Product Management, Charul is responsible for product management for Accelerite's endpoint product offerings, Sentient and Radia. Accelerite's endpoint products serve hundreds of customers, including several of top Fortune 500 companies worldwide. Charul manages the product strategy for both product lines that together offer endpoint detection and response capabilities, analytics, along with unified endpoint management, including traditional desktops, mobile devices, POS terminals, kiosks, and IoT devices. Prior to Accelerite, Charul used to run product management for semantics mobility and identity and access management solutions based on public key infrastructure. Before Symantec, he served in various roles in engineering and product management at Nokia Inc. in its networks division. A veteran of the industry, Charul served in a wide range of engineering leadership roles in various Silicon Valley technology companies such as Amber Networks and TCSI Corporation. Charul has an MBA from Duke University and a BS Computer Science from University of Bombay. Charul, welcome to our webinar today. And with this, I'm handing over the session to Charul. Over to you, Charul.
Thank you, Smita. Thank you very much, and good morning, everyone, for taking the time to join our webinar today. I wanted to start today with this image. This image itself, is probably something which is not unfamiliar to most of you. It's not really news, but it's an interesting and unique way of showing some of the attacks that have happened in our recent times. These are rather spectacular attacks that we have heard about. Most people will recall Target that went on for a while. Most people may have already also been impacted by the data breaches that happened at LinkedIn and Yahoo. More recently, people might remember last October or so, there was the DIN attack that was via botnet of IoT devices that attacked pretty much and crippled the whole internet, I would say. All of these things, point to one thing, right? The eternal truth that attacks will keep happening. The attacks people will find different ways and different innovative techniques in which to attack. Tools will get better, but in the end, it's a cat and mouse game of who stays one step ahead of the other. Just at the time of this webinar, We were just all reading about what happened, the shocking news and development in London, where the terrorist attack happened yesterday, and that's something that's something as a chilling serves as a chilling reminder for all of us. The bad guys have to get it right just once. The good guys have to get it right all the time. All of this really translates to major sources of grief and pain in the enterprise, right? The one saying that most of us have heard at one time or other in our careers is, and this is generally attributed to Chambers, right? So there have been only two types of companies: those that have been attacked and those that don't know they have been hacked, right? So that's really the background in which we live today, right? Um, and it is more it is a very serious thing, right? I mean, it is not just about a nuisance. People have lost jobs. Um, the breaches have cost billions and billions of dollars for people, and things aren't getting any easier. Okay, things are moving into the cloud. People are moving their data, their applications into the cloud. Social networking is big. Things spread wide and broadly across many different dimensions. People bring their own devices, mobility is in full flow. All of this is great for business productivity, but in the end, it's an increasing headache for the IT and security departments. And one of the things that has been emerging again is that the endpoints are now becoming the new perimeter again. And a lot of renewed energy and effort we see is going into securing the endpoints, right? And dealing with modern day vulnerabilities, rogue files, processes, all of these, become important again. Of course, there are traditional endpoint management tools that people have been using for years, and they give you a great ability to manage your patches, manage things in an operational and structured way, but that doesn't give you insights in pretty much real time which is what is needed today, right? And at the end of the day, IT is just one department. Security really is everyone's job, but IT is the one who bears the brunt most of the time. And there is a lot of data across the enterprise that could be used in many different ways, and that could be able to, that could actually help enterprises to find attacks either before they happen or as quickly as they can, as opposed to the long time it normally takes to find this out. So what are the challenges that enterprises face today? So the first dimension is around what's happening right now, right? I think when we heard about the Target breaches or even the Yahoo or the LinkedIn breaches, we all know that these breaches happened months and months before they actually were detected, and then probably another few months before they were reported, right? So what could be different? What if there was a way in which I could find out what's happening right now as opposed to what really happened several months ago, or have to wait several months ago to find out what's happening today, right? So the need is to have a real-time visibility across endpoints. There is equally the same kind of real-time need to know about anything that happens in the enterprise, be it file integrity violations, be it some security incidents, be it some processes, something that's happening on the endpoints that you want to know about, right? And at the same time, the real-time visibility now spread across all the new things that are in the enterprise that pass for endpoints. You have virtual machines in clouds, you have IT assets spread all over your enterprise where there is no possibility of having agents sitting there. And how do you actually get all of this under one umbrella in some way and shape or form? And then if I have that, even if I solve the real-time problem, the second problem that I have is what I can do about it, right? Let's say if I find out that there is something happening. First of all, it's really hard. It's a pattern matching exercise, finding the signal from the noise, right? So first of all, how many tools do I have or do I need to find out whether there is an anomaly in the first place? And if there is an anomaly, what can I do to remediate? Can I slice and dice the data that I've got, and can I actually get something more actionable from there? At the same time, can I actually integrate the data with other things? Can I integrate with a user directory? Can I integrate with an asset inventory database? Can I integrate with some other, financial database and find out if I can actually do some pattern matching between all the things that I'm observing are happening? And then that's where, we have this discussion often with our customers as to how long does it take you to do certain things, right? So new vulnerabilities come to light all the time. So to identify which machines are exposed to a vulnerability that was just discovered, okay, or to find a rogue file on any device or a server in your network. We were talking to one customer, a large pharmaceutical customer from the East Coast of the United States. They have a very large prescription network, and about 50 to 60% of U.S. prescriptions pass through their network. And every once in a while, they are contacted by FBI and they tell them that there are certain rogue files and certain malwares or Trojan horses that they know about. So make sure that your systems are sanitized and they don't have this particular file on it. And we really had this conversation with this customer, and they really didn't have any way to do anything actionable with that information that FBI gives, because it takes them a lot of time to go across their several hundreds of thousands of endpoints to just find one file, right? It's really finding needle in a haystack. Okay. Similarly, there are multiple virtual machines that most lines of business will take on. They will spin something up in the cloud. They'll get their business processes going, something or the other. Who knows whether they are at the mandated security patch level? What if there are some critical security patches missing? Or alternatively, if you have an enterprise in which you have really carefully selected your antivirus, your DLP software. In fact, this is one of our customers um, who's actually using our products for a lot of these audit and compliance type of use cases. And they're finding that there are routinely people who have actually turned off their antivirus or DLP, right? So how do you prevent that from happening? Similarly, if you wanted to get some sense of your asset utilization, you wanted to see what the sample machine process loads like across all your network. Are there servers that are lying idle? Are there servers that are overworked to the point that they're going to die any moment? One of the other parameters that's not mentioned here, we recently had another conversation where we could monitor hard disk usage, for example, right? And one of our customers who is a media company, um, they were pretty offended when we said that, oh, we can do some mundane things like, managing your hard disk or monitoring the hard disk usage. And they said, well, why would you say that's a mundane thing? Because this is something that is our routine job. We have to make sure that, our hard disks are actually in good shape so that we can actually stream the media and get media. This is all, this is how all movie theaters run, apparently. I mean, this is thing that we learned then. Similarly, what are the machines, that could be out of compliance because admin rights are enabled? That's a vector for people to install software that they were not supposed to. If they have USB ports open, that could be another one. So all of these things in an enterprise are definitely situations where something or other could go wrong. And the question is always, how soon can you find out about it, right? So the answer ranges between days, weeks, hours, minutes. People, look at each other. They say it's going to take 3 or 4 days for us to do this. But the reality is you actually need that kind of information in seconds, okay? And 3 or 4 days is not going to cut it, even if that was a real estimate as opposed to just a guesstimate. So we really need tools which can give you this kind of information in seconds. And that's where Sentient comes in. So what Sentient gives you is the ability to type queries in free-form text format um, and uncover any hidden issues in your endpoints. You can receive real-time information from every single endpoint within seconds. So this is not information from any database. It is not information from some time before when it was cached when an endpoint checked in. This is as and when the query has been sent. As the results come in, it lets you classify and present information in interactive visual and graphical formats, and you can customize all of those. Okay. You can also get alerted when key events occur across your endpoints in enterprise, because you really want to also know instead of having to keep looking for stuff. And then finally, you have the option to kick off a remediation right from where you are, right? And so you can address some of the compliance issues with IT and security policies. So this is what Sentient gives you the capability to do. But before we move further, I'll show you a short video that will actually show you a recording of Sentient in action. And that will actually make things very clear for you as to what Sentient can offer.
For a hacker. Accelerite Sentient is a detection and remediation platform that has been designed to provide instant visibility across your corporate assets, be it virtual or real, on-premise or on cloud. With Sentient, information from hundreds of thousands of IT assets is just a few seconds away. Sentient can help you identify potential vulnerabilities in your system without having to rely on stale information from operational tools or databases. Sentient also helps you narrow down your search to get to the heart of the problem very quickly and efficiently. For example, let us run a query to locate devices that are not running the antivirus software. As you can see, using Sentient's unique architecture, the results come in continuously. And you can get all the device and asset details within a few seconds. The data can be sliced and diced by parameters such as device type, OS type, subnet, and OS version. You can drill down to each individual asset to see more details. Similarly, you can check if the antivirus running is on the latest version and has the most recent virus definitions. You can also check on DLP agents, disk encryptions, other management agents and software, patch levels, open USB ports, and more. Rogue files and processes can cause havoc in an enterprise. If you've been informed of a rogue process or file, you can look for the infected endpoints with a simple search by file name, process name, or file hash. As you locate them, you can drill down to each endpoint and remediate them straight from the Sentient console. Sentient also allows you to securely run a custom script for detecting fast-developing vulnerability situations. For example, you can run a script to detect an attack such as the Mirai botnet attack that affected IoT devices. In Mirai, Linux machines with an open port and default admin accounts could unwittingly participate in the botnet. With Sentient, you can create and deploy a custom script that can locate the infected endpoints and remediate them. Apart from querying for information, Sentient can also alert you to any events of interest within your enterprise. Going back to the Mirai example that uses port 48101 of a device, Sentient can continuously monitor any activity on the port across all your endpoints and provide instantaneous alerts. In addition, Sentient can also provide hypercurrent status of hard disk space, CPU usage, memory utilization, and more across endpoints to support multiple other IT use cases. Sentient allows you to create custom dashboards and visualizations, get multiple data enrichment options, and view rich contextual information of your complete IT environment, enabling actionable insights for better decisions.
So as you can see, Sentient can let you find information at scale in seconds instead of waiting for hours and minutes. But let's say once you have a lot of information that you have got, what would it take for you to go from there, okay, from getting the real-time data to getting really some actionable insights? What can you do, right? So let's look at some of the things that you may need for actionable insights. So you will need a way to integrate live information with other sources of information in the enterprise. Similarly, you're going to need visual and interactive ways to model the information and relationships. You're going to need some default integrated views because you don't want to get into a lot of database programming, but have some way of actually getting simple integrated views that you can actually customize very quickly. Then you're going to need historical data to be able to analyze trends and patterns. And then finally, you need something that will dynamically refresh so that you can make sense of data that you are seeing and the data that you are seeing as it comes in. It would also be great if you had an integrated action framework, okay, that will help you take actions and operationalize any workflows that you may need based on what you see or is happening right now in your endpoints. So like I said, if you wanted to see this visually, what is the power that you get from slicing and dicing this information? So once you got the real-time data from the endpoints, finding the proverbial needle in the haystack, as they say, how do you analyze the whole data, all data to get the full picture, right? You will typically export it to other tools, process, which is all cumbersome, right? And it's error prone. Instead, what if you could create just custom dashboards in Sentience and see it all any which way that you like? Okay, so for example, this is just a simple example starting from a set of information that you got from an endpoints, and you can actually drill down and get more and more information as you go further. So we can take a real concrete example of this. For example, here is a very typical situation in enterprise. I wanted to find out if my antivirus was installed. Then once I find that out, I want to find out what versions of antiviruses are in use. Okay, because there could be multiple versions, and the newer versions may be more secure, the older versions may not be as secure. Then how many machines have the antivirus enabled? Okay, and then who do the non-compliant machines belong to, right? Can I integrate with another data source like an employee directory, HR database, find managers, something like that? And who are the people who have extended periods of non-compliance? So all of this information is going to be important before we can actually just action from what is my antivirus situation to what I can actually meaningfully do with it. And this is exactly the power that Sentient Analytics provides. So we'll see Sentient Analytics in action now.
It provides you unprecedented visibility into your enterprise IT assets by bringing real-time data together with sophisticated data management capabilities, external data integration and enrichment options within one tool. Using Sentient, you can reach out to hundreds of thousands of endpoints and assets in your enterprise and get back detailed information from them within seconds. For example, let us send a query out to all our endpoints to get the details of the Antivirus System Center endpoint protection. Notice that we are sending the query appended with details so we can receive and analyze all the information from them. As you receive the details, you can click on one of the graph types to go into the next level of details, which includes the device type, operating system version, antivirus and signature details, and more. You can further drill down the details using more custom graphs and dashboard from Sentient. You can get detailed distribution graphs around antivirus versions installed, proportion of devices with antivirus software enabled or disabled in them, and whether their virus definitions are up to date. The dashboard is live and interactive and allows you to narrow down into each of the charts by selecting the desired graph segment. Here is a historical view of the same data that we have collected over a period of 30 days. For example, let's say you are interested in knowing why and where exactly the non-compliance on this date went up. You can click on this data point, and the table below shows details from Sentient on the endpoints that responded out of a total of 9,028 assets, unreachable ones and non-compliant ones. Additionally, this information can also be correlated with data from other corporate systems. In this case, we can look at the information by department and by location, which come from the corporate IT inventory system, and by general manager, which comes from the HR database. Again, this dashboard is interactive, so you can drill down to one department and look at the information by location and by individual managers in that department. Further down, you can see the list of managers with maximum non-compliance in order to take specific actions. The actions that can be initiated include sending them an email with the specifics or a full non-compliance report, remediating their endpoints directly, or alerting an administrator or manager of the non-compliance. Getting real-time information is just the beginning. Sentient Analytics allows for powerful and easy analysis of complex bulk data by providing custom interactive dashboards for actionable insights.
All right, so here's the takeaway from Sentient Analytics, right? So we let you have the ability to compare real-time data against all the historical data or selected timelines, so that you can actually identify trends for the same data sets, right? Perhaps this was a steady state situation in a certain market or a certain area, or this may be a real anomaly because this is something that has just suddenly started happening from last week. So that's kind of useful information. Again, you don't have to leave Sentient to do that. You can do it right within Sentient. The other thing you can do is take that all the information you have and turn it into actionable information and intelligence. So you've got the trends. Now you can actually connect it with other data sources. You can look at custom dashboards. You can create the dashboards the way you want. What other IT assets and databases and live streams that you want to connect with. So you can draw some more meaningful conclusions from what's really happening. You can define some custom queries dashboard once, and then you can just continue to use it on a routine basis. And finally, you can take some actions. You can certainly do manual actions, but you can have some amount of rule-based automation as well. So you can get the visibility, you can get the actionable intelligence, and then ultimately you will be able to take actions that can be either done on a routine basis or something that will be flagged for an administrator for taking action on. So generally, where is Sentient going with all of this? As you can imagine, Sentient is a really versatile tool, can do many things in many different ways, and it has really a potential to do lots of things in many different directions. So wanted to give you a sense of what we are trying to do with Sentient and where it will go. So Sentient, we are thinking of Sentient as one of those most integral part of your endpoint security arsenal. And you will be able to connect not only your enterprise devices, which we are doing in the first instance, which would be your traditional laptops, desktops, even mobile devices and so on, and your private and public cloud assets, as well as any other IT assets. And you'll be able to connect them through Sentient. So Sentient will be able to do live querying of that, and we should be able to set up alerts for that. And then what Sentient will do in terms of capabilities, apart from, of course, reporting, we can do analytics, we can do some remediation, we provide an API that you can use to integrate into existing workflows that you might have in your enterprise, and you deliver on two different planes. One is the system management plane, where you can use Sentient for doing log management, checking into registries, checking into processes, files, etc. Or on the other side, you can do more of the security things on, finding out if there are any threats, threat detection, doing incident response, doing remediation again, and then even threat prevention in the future. So this is where we are going with Sentient, and we really expect that Sentient will be the central tool that will feature in any IT or security department. So Sentient brings visibility and security and IT to security and IT at scale in seconds. This is something that we are really proud of. This is very unique in the market, and with agent-based as well as agentless solutions. So we have traditionally, of course, used agent-based solutions, but we also have an agentless solution, and everything is accessible through natural language queries, alerts, and then analytics performed on top of that. And Sentient allows you to do remediation of issues from the same place wherever it's possible. So the idea is to give you complete air cover and peace of mind, knowing that you have the ways and means to get information from your endpoints at scale in real time, okay, and be alerted of any events that are happening in your enterprise. And finally, bring together all of this data, see it in whatever way you want, and bring it all together in a way that you can actually create some actionable insights and increase the ROI from all your existing investments in IT and security. So one tool that provides multiple uses. So even today, we have customers who are literally delivering their business use cases on all of the dimensions on the right hand side. So it's a multifaceted tool. Current customers and trials are using it for most of the things below, on the right hand side. Audit compliance, security vulnerability, endpoint management, asset utilization. All of these are cases that we are already seeing customers using it. It's one of those kind of tools where we cannot even fathom to what extent it can be extended, especially with the scripting capabilities that the product has. You can actually make it do anything as you wish. As an example, in the video that we saw, the Mirai botnet attack. So we were able to actually create that scripting just to detect potential Mirai vulnerabilities. Now the story wouldn't be complete if I didn't mention the entire endpoint stack that we have. So today we have an endpoint stack which has 4 different layers. I would say at the center, at the core, we have endpoint operations. This is basically your operational tools for endpoint management, doing patch management, OS management, software distribution, and so on. And then you have basic security and compliance checks at an operational level on that. And we have the product Radia for it, which provides you the lowest TCO for managing all your endpoints, bar none. And then we have Sentient, which provides you the next 2 layers of capabilities, which is the real-time queries and alerts, and then followed by analytics. And that really is the key that gives you the unprecedented visibility, threat detection, and remediation across all your IT real estate. So what can you do today? So if you like what you saw, a free trial for Sentient is already available. If you go to our website, you will see on the right hand side there is a free trial, request a free trial option. So you can go ahead and do that, and we'll be glad to set you up with something that you can try in your environment at your leisure, and see what you can, what uses you can find for it. With that, let's actually make it turn it over for Q&A. So I think we should have received some questions in the chat. So let me start reviewing that. Yeah, so one of the questions that I'm seeing has already come in. There's a few that have come in. The first one is, does Sentient support any access control for administrators? Yes, it does. So certainly Sentient is a tool that goes across many endpoints and gets lots of information. So we do have role-based access control for administrators in terms of what they can do. They can do read-only or exercise, or they can do remediation. They can do a few other things. So all of that is controlled. Is there another question? Yeah, so are the queries encrypted before they are sent on the wire, and does that introduce any delays? So that's a good question. So Sentient is one of the core value propositions for Sentient is security. So you wanted to be sure that Sentient itself does not introduce any security issues. So we do encrypt everything that goes back and forth through the system. So we use certificate-based security at message level, and where we have a capability to do transport level as well. In addition, we do that. There is a slight penalty, obviously, but you saw the performance that you saw in the video. We get typically around 100,000 endpoints to respond within 30 seconds or less. So that's kind of the performance, and I don't think there is any real issue with that delay. Let's see if you have the next question. Okay, the Sentin Client, does it run as another service on the endpoint? And that is actually a good question. Yes, it does. So Sentin Client will run as a separate
client on the endpoint. We will be coming out in the market with a fully agentless solution as well. But until then, we have the agent-based solution, and we'll continue to have both solutions which will coexist because both have their own pros and cons and different ways and means of attacking the problem and supporting the use cases. So they'll all continue to exist. But yes, Sentience does require a separate service on the endpoint. Okay, the other question is, what operating systems does the Sentience run on? So Sentience runs on Linux. So it's some of the architectural choices that we have made here in Sentience are interesting. So instead of trying to make it a real big workhorse or a big piece of hardware that you have to buy, largely, simple server class Linux-based hardware is all you need, and we run across all of them, and you can scale them out horizontally. That's the key. So as more and more endpoints come under management and you want it to expand, you really don't have to do a forklift upgrade of anything. You just add a few more servers into the cluster and it all continues to work. Okay, so does a regular Radia 10 client installation include the service? So that's a good question. So along with Radia 10, one of the things that we have done, in view of our long-standing relationships with our Radia customers, so there is a basic functionality in Sentience that we will be making it available at no cost to Radia customers. Okay, so they will get the basic endpoint capabilities from Sentience as part of their 10.0 upgrade. Okay, of course, in order to get the whole thing to work, you of course realize you have to install Sentience servers as well. So it should be Linux machines and get the server installed and then get everything else going. But yes, you will have the capability. Okay, so how does Sentience deliver this performance for query response at this scale? So that's a tricky one. That's like giving out our secret sauce. But let's see how I can answer this one. So like I mentioned earlier, we have a architectural choice that we have made. We've used the very well-known tools in distributed message systems and streaming servers, and then the way we have wired them all together, this is really what we call almost an IoT grade infrastructure, an IoT grade architecture. So we have designed it to eventually work for millions of devices. Okay, so enterprise endpoints, which range between say a few tens of thousands to a few hundreds of thousands, is really no challenge at all. It's a walk in the park for Sentience. Okay, can Sentience integrate with my AD? Okay, that's also another interesting question. Yes, Sentience can. So particularly, from an access control point of view, you can definitely have your users in AD, and we can authenticate directly in AD to give you the administrative access. On the other end, if you wanted to integrate some information that you're getting from your endpoints back into the AD to find out if this is a particular group or device group or some other parameter in AD that you wanted to look up for a device, you can also do that. Yeah, that is certainly also available. Okay, another one. Do we need to buy an additional license for Sentience? Yes, the answer is yes. Sentience is a brand new product built from the ground up. It has amazing capabilities, is what we like to think. Certainly, if you try this out yourself, you will find that this is really true. So we want to make sure that we continue to add a lot of investment into the product. So for that reason, Sentience is definitely a different product, and we have separate licenses for that you need to buy. Yeah, is this an on-prem solution or a cloud-based solution? So I get this question many times. So largely, the way people are thinking about this, this is an on-prem solution. So we have deployed it so far in our customers and trials, yeah, as an on-prem solution. But at the same time, we could certainly host this in a cloud. So in fact, the demo that you saw as part of the videos, those are actually demos that we have set up in AWS, and that's what helps me actually reach the demo machine from wherever I am in the world. So we can certainly host it in the cloud. Now you have to think about what it means, whether you want to have access from a cloud into your enterprise and whatnot. So these are some of those situations that will vary from case to case, but as a technology it can be hosted in the cloud or hosted on-prem. So that was the question, by the way. Is this an on-prem solution or a cloud-based solution? How is Sentient licensed? Is it licensed per endpoint? So that's also another good question. So yes, we do license everything by endpoint. So Sentient is also licensed by endpoint. And we do have a set of grades of packages. You can buy basic capabilities to advanced capabilities, so you don't have to necessarily buy everything at once. But at the same time, you have some flexibility in terms of functionality, and everything is licensed by module, as well as the license meter always being the endpoint itself per device. Okay, so another similar question is the cost license per client or based on the amount of data being processed and collected. So luckily or unfortunately, I don't know how you want to look at it, but like I mentioned, it is still per client, and you can create, you can collect reams and reams of data, or you can choose to collect nothing at all, and it will still cost you the same. All right, so looks like our questions have slowed down. It's down to a trickle. I'm also aware that we just crossed the 40-minute mark. Okay, I have one more, so we can take this one. So we get basic sentient functionality with Radia 10, but for full functionality we need to buy a sentient license for each client. Yes, that is correct. That is exactly right. Okay, Smita. Oh, can we have a recording of this conference? Yes, of course. And Smita will cover that when she does the wrap up. But yes, we will be doing a recording of this conference. Looks like we are more or less at the end of the webinar. I hope this was very helpful. As again, you can see the power and the capabilities that Sentient has. It's a great tool to have on your side. You can get information in real time from your endpoints without having to rely on anything else, and get the data out of there, and then marry that data with everything else that you can possibly think of in your enterprise. And that is what creates amazing value, and you can truly revolutionize the way in which you take care of your endpoints, manage them, and secure them as we face the real world out there. With that, I'll thank you all for your time and turn this back over to Smita.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Charul, for a wonderful session. I think this definitely was a very insightful webinar that we had, and the data that you have shared in the session definitely was useful. Friends, with this, we are ending our session today. Thank you for sharing your time with us. And we'll definitely be sharing the recording of this session as soon as it's available with us. And see you all at next webinar. Thank you, everyone.